Hey, I'm Eliza, Head of Product Education at Coassemble, and I just wanted to spend some time walking you through our new course creation flow. So I'm logged inside Coassemble right now in our UI, and first I'll navigate up the top here to show you our course creation methods and highlight the difference. So before, with our old course creation methods, you needed to pick your starting point before going through the flow. So for example, if you wanted to turn PowerPoint slides into a course, you'd need to select convert a presentation for it to do it verbatim. Now we have this new flow, which is great with Agent, and you can start from any point in the same flow. We've also still got start from scratch. So this start from scratch is using our new builder, which is the canvas creation, versus our old start from scratch here. We also now have the ability to host SCORM packages. So the upload SCORM package buttons there as well. I'm going to jump in and create with Agent and walk you through an example of that flow. So here I'm greeted and can enter a prompt or add any files. Now, a key thing to highlight here is any files I add, I can then later on choose whether it follows them verbatim or is flexible in how it presents the content. So if you have a course that is a SCORM object already, you can add that here and choose verbatim, and it will attempt to recreate the course inside Coassemble so you can continue to edit and work on it. I'll put a basic prompt in around building a customer certification, and I'm going to select to use brand voice. I won't add a file today for this demo. And because my prompt is so brief, it's going to ask me a series of follow-up questions. So primary audience for this course, so we'll say customer support professionals. And I'll ask questions around depth, so if they have any prior knowledge, all the things you'd need to ascertain before you created a course. I'm just going to do a quick one for the purposes of this demo. And the learning outcomes here. Now the content it presents, especially when it's a prompt and doesn't have source content, will align to these outcomes. So I'll select those there, and it's asking what assessment. So you now have the option to identify in the course creation process whether you'd like a final quiz at the end, knowledge checks throughout, or flashcards, or all three. So I'll select all three, or no assessment needed. So it depends kind of what purpose your course is serving. So we're ready to build now. I can review my answers to any of these. It's selected English AU as my language based on my brand kit, and I can review my answers. So it's going to now build out the course in front of me. Now, as you can see, this is very different to the old course creation. So it's just planning the course here. You can see the status down the bottom. We now have a canvas that I can move around on. And this enables you to visualize all your screens in sequence, which is great for consistency of design, understanding any gaps, any screens that aren't complete if you're working on a particularly lengthy piece of learning. And you can also see at this high level where your assessment is, so where the quick knowledge checks are. You can also see here if you've got variation of content. So I'd be able to tell if, I have a lot of text content in series and no videos or nothing interactive. And then I can adjust it accordingly. Because I can see all the screen titles here and get an overview of the content too, it's a lot easier to visualize gaps in what I'm trying to present. So it's still building out. It's almost done because I selected a short course. And we've still got the start and finish screen, as you can see here. So start, finish. This is the quiz. The quiz will present as its own section, and I'll talk about sections in a moment. And each question will be visible, which is great for you to be able to see that you've got a variety of question types and not an assessment that will bore your learner. I've also then got a summary at the end here that's been generated and the finished screen. Now, before I jump in at the screen level to show you how blocks work and the key differences at that level for the new course creation flow, I just wanted to highlight sections. So you'll see this course here now has sections where it divides the screen. So a quiz is treated as a section here, and then we've got the summary here. We've also got a section up here. So this impacts on learner navigation as they'll be able to visually see these sections. So I'll show you what that looks like if I jump into preview mode, and I'll select here, and you can see that I've got this section here, and then this is my quiz, and then an untitled section down the bottom here. But this navigation is now visible to the learner. They can jump between the screens that they've worked through, and they'll have their progress visualized up the top here. But we've had a lot of feedback around this navigation, so we're hoping this is a step forward and it has a big impact for learners working through the courses. If I jump back out to the overview, I can reorder these sections very easily, just as I've done there. I can rename them, and I can add a new section anywhere just by selecting add new section. When we go to add a new section, it'll show you some predefined section intro layouts that you can choose from, or you can choose any of these predefined layouts. But once you're in the screen, we can tweak what it looks like, and I'll show you that in a sec. So I'll just pop one in here, and I've got a new screen, and that's how sections work. So I'm going to jump in now and show you how easy it is to edit a screen and the flexibility that comes with our course creation experience now. So to add a new screen, you can select the plus anywhere where you'd like to add it. I'm going to jump into a pre-existing screen I have here and select edit. And as you can see, it has a column layout and a grid, and I can add blocks anywhere on this grid. I can also click and drag existing blocks here and easily change how it's configured and how the content is presented. I'll now add a new block. So to do so, you select here, and I can select any of these blocks here. So a table, in media, there's images, video, audio, slideshow, interactive. So I could put a checklist on here, flashcards. I can even put a quiz question against the content as well, or I can embed a document or a link. So there's a lot of flexibility now. I can also easily edit this screen by talking to the AI assistant here. So if I'd like to work on this screen, I'll say, can you adjust this layout so the content isn't in columns? And it will tweak the layout of the screen for me, and I don't need to adjust it manually. So we've got it here, and it's done to a clean stacked single column. So you can experiment with the assistant here to tweak each individual screen as well. I can also add additional content through MCP by using Claude. So I will jump out of here and show you what that looks like. So I'm now in Claude, and I've hooked up the Coassemble MCP with Claude. And so I can readily edit courses in my workspace using Claude, which means that I can connect to any documentation that I have elsewhere. So for example, all our knowledge-based articles, I can ask Claude to pull additional information from them and work it into the course. So I'm going to set it to task with this. I've asked it to add additional content to my course around customer certifications and how embedding Coassemble can be used to power a customer certification. So I'll let this run and we'll see what it comes up with. So as we can see here, Claude's fetched my course in Coassemble, and it's asked me what to do. Asking me what I want to add. So I'm going to select new section. It's asking who the content's speaking to, and it's working on it. Okay, so the MCP has finished editing this course, and as you can see, it's added in a few screens here and a whole section which is pulled from our own knowledge base content. So it's talking about how Coassemble can specifically power certification. So it's amazing to be able to leverage all the documentation we have and all the connections we have in order to create training content like this. I still need to jump in and add images and tweak it, but it gets me to a point that's really worthwhile. The MCP you've seen here is the one you connect yourself with a single sign-in from settings. Embed partners get the same tools driven by their own application instead, authenticated with their API key and scoped per tenant and per user. So it runs inside their product under their brand, but same capability available. So before we wrap this up, I just wanted to highlight one more feature. My course is far from done. I need to add images or video, but at this point I might want to review it. So down the bottom here with our course coach, there is a review tab here. And I can run a review to check for things like accessibility, ensure the flow of content is well written and we're not overloading learners. So I run a review of this course and it's flagged a couple of things here. I've already actioned one. So for example, this one thinks there's some drift with the content and I can click refocus course content, or I can dismiss it if I want to ignore the suggestion. I've actioned one of the revisions already and it appeared in the chat here. So there was a missing piece of content. It said we should be teaching certification stages. So it updated a block on screen too. And it's provided some information here about what it's added. So if we jump in here, we can see that that certification process is now being taught. I'll jump back out to the overview. And if I want to correct any of these, so I can select this and it will action it. But very helpful to look for things like missing alt text or errors in content or scope drift or any of those things. Before I wrap up, there's one more thing I'd like to call out about our upgraded course creation experience, and that is how narration works. So you'll find it up the top here at the course level, but if you go into each individual screen, we've also introduced this button down here called reading order. The reason being because there's such flexibility with the way screens are designed now with the grid system, we think it's critical that you're able to set the reading order for that screen. So for example, this one is quite simple. It's got a heading and then the paragraphs below it. So it'll read the heading first and then the paragraph. But if we jump across to a different screen that maybe has a column layout, if I can find one, here we go. We've got a column layout here. If I jump into reading order now, it will have the heading first, the paragraph here, and then the second column here. So if you've got a lot of different blocks on one screen, it's worthwhile jumping in and inspecting the reading order, as this will set the order of the narration that's generated. That's it for today. Hopefully you enjoy our new course creation flow. Please share any feedback with us. We'd love to hear it. Thank you so much.